Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In news that I was sincerely assuming was going to be very popular news, but it wasn't, MoneyGram, a leading money transfer company, has announced plans to launch their own, they say, non-custodial, digital wallet in partnership with the Stellar Development Foundation. The wallet will enable users to convert between fiat and digital currencies when sending cross-border payments. A lot of you are probably relatively new. For the other 40 to 50 to 60%, hello. This is like old new news. Many years ago, there was a very weird dispute between MoneyGram and Western Union, who've both been around for like 900.5 years, that they were getting into the cryptocurrency space. They were both working with Ripple to use XRP at first, and then I believe it was MoneyGram who came forward. I think it was MoneyGram who came forward and said that XRP was not the project for them, and everyone was like, and then they announced that they were working with Stellar, and I think that they think that that would have made them more money and or made them more popular. But it was kind of the opposite, because the only people who really cared about Stellar and Lumens, back then at least, were people who were kind of like in the I hate XRP, only Bitcoin kind of space. So they were happy that the other coin got it but didn't do it. Because for those of you who don't know, XRP and Lumens are meant to do the exact same thing, but only one of them is actually winning on that. So then MoneyGram re-announced last year that they were looking back at the cryptocurrency space, and I think the news was that they were then officially working with Stellar, because they had done nothing over the course of 4 to 5 years after saying that they chose Lumens. And now the news is that MoneyGram, this is why I said old new news. This is 6 years ago that this was a discussion. Now MoneyGram, I guess, is officially announcing their entrance into the digital cryptocurrency space by saying that they are going to have their own non-custodial digital wallet. A lot of that is for hype and attention, because MoneyGram, same as Western Union, usually, and I believe they do, adhere to anti-money laundering and know your customer rules. The idea of a non-custodial wallet is that there is no custodian. There is no one per se overseeing it. It may be safe to use. There are other non-custodial wallets out there that allow you to have complete control over your own private keys and information with your cryptocurrencies, but there's no one actively tracking your transactions. The idea that MoneyGram would be able to release something that would not be tracking anyone's transactions is completely unrealistic, because MoneyGram has been around for a long time and they adhere to the worldwide anti-money laundering rules. I think what the news is meant to be is that this is going to be a brand new way for people who are not yet into the cryptocurrency space, for them to be able to enter with crypto or use crypto, swap into crypto, or if you have crypto, you'll be able to send it around the world. However, the other logical part is that you are already able to do this. So you can already take your Stellar Lumens. I mean, it might be a bit difficult to get your mother, father, and or grandmother or aunt to actually download a cryptocurrency wallet and you send them the crypto. But it is already possible. This has to do with finding out that your old method of sending money through MoneyGram as a company business is probably not going to continue doing well in the future, as we've all seen older citizens walking around tapping and swiping cards, right? I was flabbergasted the other day when I saw this older individual, and I mean they 70 plus, somewhere around there, took out their phones and they took out their card on their phone, they paid by tapping their phone through their Visa card. And I was like, whoa, we are definitely in the future. So MoneyGram, realizing that people aren't too keen to use their services, aren't standing on lines like they were in the 80s, and they're also just using other forms of payment, is like, hey, we're now in the digital currency space and you can use us to send crypto payments around the world. But the problem is, much like Visa announcing a couple of months ago that they were getting into the Ethereum space, for those of you who missed that really weird news, Visa announced that not only are they in the cryptocurrency space, but they're more or less going to be supporting Ethereum. And they want you to send them your Ether so that when you want to send a payment, you can send it through the Visa payment rails. And then it goes back into the Ethereum blockchain. And then on the other side, the person gets the money once again through the Visa channels. And it's like, I could also just send Ether. Why would I need to use Visa? Or in this case, MoneyGram, to send money around, when I'm pretty sure that Stellar Lumens is already a blockchain that people can use. Set to launch in the first quarter of 2024, the new digital wallet will allow MoneyGram customers to cash out their digital assets at any participating MoneyGram location worldwide. Additionally, the wallet will let users send digital assets to other wallet users. You can already do that. However, privacy advocates might take issue with the fact that MoneyGram will be applying its compliance screening to all wallet users. That is AML, KYC, anti-money laundering, know your customer. Before you can use this, they want your ID. They want to know where you live because they think that the $45 that you're sending to your family member on the other side of the world is money laundering. They said, and I quote, "Our vision to connect the world's communities by empowering customers through innovative financial solutions takes another step forward today." This was said by Alex Holmes, the CEO of MoneyGram. They said the MoneyGram non-custodial digital wallet advances this mission even further. Yeah, I assumed that this would have been popular news because maybe we've moved on as a society and in a cryptocurrency market. Years ago, anytime anyone had anything negative to say about XRP, or how anyone who claimed that they were an XRP rival, ring fighter, the opposite of XRP, made amazingly popular news. So upon hearing that they were going to be using Stellar for their wallet, I just, I guess I assumed wrong. Cool. So MoneyGram is in the space. I think Western Union is already partially using XRP. I'm certain that I feel that that's completely correct, but not maybe in the States. I think it's between Mexico, Thailand, a couple of random countries who it's more difficult to have like pre-funded accounts. I'm pretty sure that they're already using XRP. So cool, fantastic, wonderful. Let's see how much usage this actually ends up getting because, and without any further ado, let's move on. Here goes another country. Tech Petrol, a major Argentinian oil producer, has announced plans that they want to mine cryptocurrencies using gas. Yeah. The Buenos Aires-based firm is exploring and... Nope. It says explores and produces oil and gas in Argentina. Who's exploring gas? Okay. As well as other Latin American countries such as Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, and Colombia. And apparently there's a news publication, I guess. It's called Rio Negro. The firm plans to use associated gas in its oil fields near Vaca Muerta, to generate electricity, which it will then use to power the mining rigs. The firm has not yet disclosed which coins they intend to mine. Wink. I mean, which one do you think they're mining? No, that's wrong. I heard someone say, you're incorrect. It's going to be Bitcoin. But it says it has partnered with a company that performs similar functions for US-based companies as well. Tech Petrol says its crypto mining operations would begin sometime between the end of October and the beginning of November, just say in like 2 weeks. I don't know what they're trying to do there. And then they have information from the actual, what do you call it, from the chief executive director and yada, yada. Cool. So how do I say this quickly? We keep getting news about different countries who are going to be mining cryptocurrencies. This is like the third or fourth one in the last 6 or 7 days, or roughly somewhere around there. Just want to make sure that everyone's always, kept up to date with all the happenings that are happening around the world, because years ago, this would have been completely unheard of. But now we're hearing of them all the time. So just always know that usually whenever there are large mining companies or firms, that is to say, like, for petrol or natural gas, what have you, the government usually has a stake in these institutions as well, just as a piece of information. So keep in mind that a lot of times we have been, me and you, receiving news that countries themselves are already mining Bitcoin. But then we also get news that there is a mega company who's going to be mining Bitcoin with their extra energy. And I think sometimes people may go, well, it's the company. You have to understand that money follows money and is usually tied up with other money. So the government probably is also associated with this as well. Also keeping in mind that this is now another company who we are publicly hearing about, who is going to be mining Bitcoin. Cool, got that part. But they're also going to be holding and accumulating Bitcoin as well. Imagine all the extra electricity that they're going to have. They could be doing 1,000,001 other things with that electricity. But guess what they're choosing to do with it? They're choosing to mine a coin that there's not a lot of, and that all the other rich people on the planet are also accumulating. Always keep your ears and your eyes open, because the news is typically very exact. Like we get what's happening. Anyway, that's the Tech Petrol is going to be mining Bitcoin in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's a very weird time frame. The end of October, beginning of November. Is it like a 3-day period in between? Is there like some day that we don't know about? That's the another country news. Yeah. Let's move on. So this was popular news, and then I couldn't really figure out why. This is kind of like the most logical thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm going to explain it to you. Of course, you'll get it, but I have many questions. XRP's total transactions have crossed the 2.6 billion transaction mark, as daily transactions on XRP's network continue to surpass figures observed from Bitcoin and Ethereum. The news is that XRP's transactions have far outpaced Bitcoin and Ethereum's. Can anyone in the class tell me why this is completely logical, and why XRP would have passed the total transactions of these two other chains? In a recent interview at the Apex Dev Summit in Amsterdam, Marcus Franger, Vice President of Ripple X Growth, discussed the state of the XRP ledger and developments in the XRP ledger ecosystem that could further enhance their footing. Infringer highlighted points regarding the interoperability and scalability limits. Listen, there's a lot of L's there. Interoperability and scalability limits of the XRP ledger. There was like 9 L's in there. He says the network remains one of the most scalable and efficient chains. He said transactions happen in 3 to 5 seconds, very reliably for over a decade. Then someone also mentioned that Bitcoin takes 10 minutes to 1 hour, and XRP takes 3 to 5 seconds on something called Spend the Bits. So, one, amazing. Wow, fantastic. The XRP blockchain is doing what the XRP blockchain is supposed to be doing. I saw this news floating around, and when you read the title, it sounds like something else. The title is XRP surpasses Bitcoin and Ethereum in daily transactions. And you're like, whoa, my gosh, you kind of assume that there are more transactions happening on XRP, like mathematically, like more people are choosing XRP than they are Bitcoin. Remember like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were going over the news that apparently Ripple on their website changed the number of transactions per second on the XRP blockchain from what it was before to what it currently is now. Here's a little reminder for those of you who are out there. On the XRP Ripple website, there's a part that says scalable. And it says the XRP ledger can now handle 3,400 transactions per second. This used to be, I believe, 2,000 or 2,500. So one would assume mathematically, if Bitcoin does 3 to 5 transactions per second, and Ethereum does 10 to 15 transactions per second, and in XRP does 3,400, we can assume that XRP is going to have more transactions per minute, even per day, depending on the amount of usage that's actually out there. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's raining. Your head's going to get wet if you go outside. Hey, the water has mixed with the dirt. It's going to become mud. Like that kind of thing. It's not that it's not significant. It's more of I think we all would have logically understood that as a blockchain can do more transactions than the other blockchains, that they would have more transactions than the other ones out there. Quite significant that where's the number again? 2.6 billion transactions is quite incredible for anything, for any chain out there. Never forget that we have only been in the cryptocurrency space, or have only had it for 13 and a half, 14 years. And we are like taking the world by storm with these chains that have not broken down except for Solana, that continue working except for Solana, and all these other like major things that keep happening to these chains and how robust that they're getting. I was going to say it again, but I'm not going to say it. So cool. Major news, but it was kind of framed as if, something else. So cool. XRP is one of the most used blockchains on the planet. Mathematically speaking, 3,500 is far more than the number 3. So I would assume in the future, XRP's ledger is going to always do more transactions per second than Bitcoin's main chain, because that's just the news we've been getting. That's whoa, that's crazy. XRP does more transactions than Bitcoin? I feel like I didn't know that since like 2016. And yeah. All right. Let's move on. Here's a really good one. This is one of my more favorite news articles over the course of the last couple of days. Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, the people who own the Gemini exchange, reportedly, allegedly, withdrew approximately, allegedly, $280 million from Genesis Global just months before the crypto lender Genesis initiated a freeze on customer deposits and ultimately filed for bankruptcy. My, oh my, the plot thickens. So for those of you, I'll give you like a quick little run through. So remember when there were like weird fights between Changpeng Zhao and Sam Bankman-Fried on Twitter in like the beginning of 2020, and no one really knew what was going on? And then around like the middle of the summer, we got news that apparently there were apparently a lot of acquisitions within the cryptocurrency space that were trying to take place. Companies were trying to buy this company, that company was trying to do this was trying to do so-and-so, yada, yada, yada. Changpeng Zhao then released a tweet that said like, we won't help people who go against our best interest. He found out that Changpeng Zhao found out that Sam Bankman-Fried apparently had donated money not only to Republicans, but also to Democrats over the course of whenever it happened. And then apparently a lot of the deals behind the scenes began to completely fall apart. When FTX began to fall apart, we started hearing news that there were a number of other crypto lending companies who were also not doing well. It was believed to have been part of a contagion and or that FTX had its hand in so many other cookie jars that apparently as those cookies broke, so did the other companies as well. And one of them was apparently another company who might have allegedly been associated with FTX, and that was Genesis. The news from Genesis is that the Gemini twins using Genesis were apparently using Genesis on Gemini for part of their lending product or something like that. They had some type of thing that the SEC called a security, yada, yada, yada. But the Gemini crypto exchange was using Gemini. Apparently, the Winklevoss twins came forward and they were like, hey, something's wrong with Gemini. And then Gemini began to, Genesis, there's a lot of G's here. I'm going to go slow. Between the word Gemini and Genesis Global, my brain's in a circle. The Winklevoss twins claimed that something was wrong with Genesis. Genesis then began to collapse and started freezing people's accounts. And that's when the Gemini twins, the Winklevoss twins, came forward and said, remember this was maybe the beginning of this year, that they were going to try and sue Genesis for money that should have been given to their clients, the people on the actual cryptocurrency exchange. So the news is that allegedly, the Winklevoss twins might have allegedly known that Genesis already wasn't doing good months before. And instead of claiming that afterwards, they were like, oh, something is wrong there. They might have allegedly known months before, taken out $250 million and then watched Genesis collapse. And then only after Genesis collapsed did they announce something. You understand what I'm saying? They might have allegedly known all along that something was wrong. They didn't whistle any bells, blow any whistles, because they stood to still profit from it. And only after Genesis collapsed did allegedly the Gemini twins actually say something. Genesis and Gemini had jointly offered an earn program that allowed customers to earn interest on their cryptocurrency holdings. Under this program, users of the Winklevoss-owned Gemini exchange could lend their digital assets through Genesis. In August of 2022, Gemini executed a substantial withdrawal of cryptocurrency funds from Genesis, as disclosed by an anonymous source, the New York Post has reported. The funds pulled from Genesis were earmarked to establish a reserve intended to facilitate immediate redemptions for Gemini Earn program participants. That is to say, the allegations are they saw that something was wrong with Genesis, and instead of saying something before, they took out a huge amount of money to kind of keep the Earn program going just long enough until Genesis actually collapsed, and that then they were able to say, they were doing something wrong, when you don't take out $280 million unless you know that something is wrong. Allegedly. The report claims none of this withdrawn money was directed to the Gemini founders, the Winklevoss twins, citing one of the sources close to the matter. Gemini later clarified that the funds were withdrawn to reserve liquidity reserve for Earn users' benefits. Here's a tweet for it right here. It says, "We are disappointed that the New York Post has chosen to recklessly publish a completely misleading story about the Gemini Earn program. Everything the Post alleges in its story is the exact opposite." Okay. The $282 million that was withdrawn from Genesis in August 2022 was in fact earned, and it keeps on going. So yeah, I find this interesting in that, I'll say this, then we'll move on. A lot of people continuously, I've always found it very interesting that a lot of people have demonized Sam Bankman-Fried. Not that he is not a devil, but a lot of people keep pretending that what he allegedly did was the first time that anyone has ever allegedly done something like that. We keep getting news all the time that Sam Bankman-Fried was this master genius and that he orchestrated all these different things. And I've been telling you for a while, what Sam Bankman-Fried allegedly did, what FTX allegedly did, what Genesis allegedly did, what Alameda allegedly might have done, nearly every crypto exchange has done something like that before. Remember when we started getting news after FTX collapsed and Changpeng Zhao was like, hey, we need proof of reserves so that we can prove that we all have the amount of customer funds that we say. And every exchange was like, yeah, you need proof of reserves. We need blah, 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 blah. And they all went crazy. And I was like, give it 3 weeks. And now we only have 2 crypto exchanges who do proof of reserves. All cryptocurrency exchanges, and I dare even say all businesses worth billions of dollars, are usually doing something shady. Not saying that Gemini did, but I find the war path that the Gemini twins were on for nearly a year, talking about how evil and terrible and awful Genesis was and how they were the reason for the entirety of the collapse. That the news then is, months before the collapse, these people took out $250 million. I just find that, personally, I find that quite funny because, you know, it would be foolish to assume that FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried were the only interesting people within the space. That's the allegations news because that's how the cryptocurrency space works. Yeah. Let's move on. Oh boy. All right. The US SEC has once again extended the deadline for ARK's 21 shares spot Bitcoin ETF until January 2024. This extension underscores the SEC's nonsense and corruption that has been going on for far too long. In a filing on Tuesday, the SEC said that it finds it appropriate to designate a longer period within which to issue an order approving or disapproving the proposed rule change so that it has sufficient time to consider the proposed rule change, as opposed to just saying, we are corrupt and this thing is not going to go through. The watchdog noted it has an additional 60 days to consider the listing. However, the final deadline is now set for the 10th of January, 2024. The SEC, in the middle of summer, maybe a little bit before summer, got a number of applications for a physical Bitcoin ETF around the time that we heard that BlackRock was going to actually file. I believe that ARK was one of the first companies to actually list theirs, I think even before BlackRock got their listing in. So the SEC has a thing, and it makes no sense because it happens every single time, and it's just nonsense. They're allowed, because they made the rules, they're allowed to kind of say, oh, we need a little bit more time to look over the paperwork, which would be cool, but it's been going on for 10 years and about 30 different applications, so we know that they're not actually looking over it, because I feel like 60 days with 15 people in an office is more than enough to actually look through some paperwork. So we had news before that ARK was trying to get it through. It has now been delayed until the 10th of January, which means that probably on the 8th, I'll say the 8th or 9th of January, there will be news that ARK, they might get their Bitcoin ETF. And then we're going to hear once again on the 10th of January that it has been rejected. Bitcoin's price will go down by 2% because people, for some reason, keep believing that the SEC won't be corrupt. So cool. Or I guess uncool. It has been delayed once again until January 2024. We have no choice but for time to move forward, so we will see exactly what ends up happening. There's been a lot of news, I don't have it in this video, from former heads of the SEC and former, CFOs, COOs, ABCs from BlackRock and Fidelity, who said that they believe that a Bitcoin ETF is basically, around the corner. They don't know when, but they believe that something big is going to change. But I guess ARK isn't going to be the first one to actually get the approval. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.